What is up, YouTube? Sodor Railway Studios here, and welcome to a very special video. Today I'm going to do a video dedicated to Emily the Emerald Engine, which is fitting since today is my next door neighbour's birthday, and she happens to have the exact same name as her. I know, coincidental, right? Emily has always been one of those characters that I think gets a bit too much hate. Yeah, sure, I can't stand her hit-era personality, at least in seasons 8 to 10. But even so, she's still one of the more underrated characters for me. So I thought, why not show off my top 5 favourite Emily episodes? Also, please remember that this is all my opinion, so if you have a different list, then that's perfectly fine. So without further ado, let's get started. Coming in at number 5 is A Blooming Mess. Pretty misleading title, I'm gonna say. This is definitely one of the better episodes to come out of the Sharon Miller era, in my opinion. And Emily's portrayal is one big reason why. Yeah, sure, it does have the 3-strike formula like every episode in the Miller era, but I still think this is one of Emily's best episodes. For one thing, I really like how willing she is to make Mavis happy, though I can't deny that there are a few issues with this episode apart from the obvious 3-strike formula. For one thing, why was Mavis just standing there on the bridge when Emily tried talking to her? Especially since she later said she was very busy. Then again, it's possible that she was thinking about how busy she'd be. Also, I'm not entirely sure what Edward would be doing at the quarry, but that's just a nitpick and it was nice to see him anyway. I always seem to find an excuse to hear Keith Wickham's amazing voice for him. Overall, A Blooming Mess is one of the most underrated episodes of the show in my opinion. It does a great job at developing Emily's character, much better than how they did it in season 8. I'm looking at you, Thomas Emily in the Snowplow. Kudos to Miranda Larson for bringing back the true character of our favourite Emerald Green engine. At number 4, we have Emily Saves the World. Season 18 is definitely my favourite CGI season, tied with season 20, and Emily Saves the World is arguably one of this season's best episodes in my opinion. For one thing, the overall plot is actually kind of reminiscent of Rusty and the Boulder from season 5. Just without the dark tone, of course. But my favourite part of this episode is the beginning. Why, may you ask? Well, it's because of all the classic series references. Duncan makes a reference to the runaway elephant, Rheneas to Rheneas and the dinosaur, Gordon to Paint Pots and Queens, and Thomas to Thomas the Jet Engine. And of course, Bill and Ben do make that reference to Pingy Pongy Pickup, but that's obviously not a classic episode. I also like how this episode tries its best to develop Emily's character. It's just a shame that many other Emily episodes in the Andrew Brenner era were a bit repetitive of this. But even so, Emily Saves the World is a severely underrated episode in my opinion, and worthy of being in the top 5. At number 3, we have Emily's New Route. Yes, a season 8 Emily episode in my top 5, I never thought I'd see myself do that. You may know that I cannot stand season 8 Emily in the slightest, and her other 3 episodes in this season are atrocious for that reason alone. However, I do admittedly really like Emily's New Route, because in this episode she is pretty close to her season 7 personality. Sure, the idea of the Blacklock monster does seem kind of cliché, since the whole fake monster thing is a pretty common kids show plot. But I still love how Emily's character has developed throughout this episode. She's not a jerk for the sake of being a jerk, unlike in her other season 8 episodes. But instead, she loses her temper with the trucks, which causes her to get rerouted. But who can blame her, honestly? And yes, there is a 3-strike formula here, but it's only in the first half, which makes it slightly more bearable in my opinion. Not to mention, Michael-Angelos' narration is simply brilliant. He may sound slightly more deadpanned in the hit era, but he still did a decent job in my opinion. Rest in peace, Michael. This is easily one of those episodes that gets unfairly overlooked in my opinion. Definitely one of the best of season 8. At number 2, we have Emily's New Coaches, the debut appearance of the girl herself. I can easily say that Season 7 opened with a bang, because this is a really good episode. Sure, it is one of those Thomas hates the new engine just because they take his coaches kind of episodes. And I will admit that Edward and Percy were slightly out of character in the moments we saw them, but I can look past that. Besides, it was very minor. For one thing, I absolutely adore Emily's theme. Mike and Junior did a fantastic job on it. I also really like Oliver's inclusion here. Oliver didn't really get much to do in Season 7 now that I think about it. Sure, he got a starring role in Snow Engine, but apart from that, he was kind of pushed to the side, along with characters like Dark. Speaking of that, I might do a top 5 Oliver episodes at some point if you want. Even so, Emily's New Coaches is a brilliant episode, and arguably one of Season 7's best. And before I get to number 1, I want to show a few quick honourable mentions. Dowager Hat's Busy Day. Believe me, I wanted to include this episode on the list because it's absolutely hilarious. But I realised it's more of a joint lead between Emily and Dowager Hat. If not for that though, I would have easily included it on the list. Excellent Emily. Season 12 is extremely underrated in my opinion, and this is one of my favourite episodes from it. Since really Emily is more overconfident than an actual jerk here, and I also quite like her dynamic with Murdoch in this episode. Rangers of the Rails. I really like Emily and Nia's dynamic in this episode, but it didn't make the list because it's kind of repetitive of previous Emily episodes in the CGI series. Speaking of which, my number 1 favourite Emily episode is Best Engine Ever. Yeah, I bet you never thought this would be number 1, did you? So why is this my favourite Emily episode? Well, for starters, I love Emily's dynamic with Caitlin in this episode, and I really wish they used it more often. Also, the moral of the episode is done in the best way possible. The lesson of just being yourself has basically been done to death at this point, but Best Engine Ever is one of the best examples of that moral done right. Even though I do think Emily was a great choice for the lead role, I also feel like they could have used it with Rosie, since she basically did nothing in the Brenner era until Season 21, making her easily one of underutilized characters, apart from ones like Stanley or Charlie. Despite that, Best Engine Ever is still a fantastic episode and one of the best of Season 19, and I consider it my favourite Emily episode of all time for these reasons alone. This episode proved that there really is no one quite like Emily. And that's about it for this video. Let me know in the comments if you agree with my list, and I'd also like to know which Emily episode is your favourite. And I also want to wish my neighbour Emily a very happy birthday, especially considering how supportive she's been of my passion for this iconic show. I'm not sure what I'm going to upload next, but I can assure you that you will absolutely love it. Until then, thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye!